a video game set in the 1930s, inspired by cartoons of that era, and with a noir crime film feel? Let's see what it's all about. The game in question is Mouse P.I. for Hire. This title is a first-person shooter, but what it makes it special and different is its graphic style, very reminiscent of the black and white cartoons of the 1930s, such as Oswald the Lucky Rabbit and Betty Boop, not forgetting the famous Felix the Cat. Mouse P.I. for Hire uses the graphic style in a fascinating way, and as a huge fan of cartoons from that period, for their fluid and captivating animation, this video game is on my radar. The developers from the studio Fumi Games got inspired by the animation style named Rubber Hose Animation. This style makes all the objects on the screen have a flowing movement, like when the water in a rubber hose makes it move like a snake. This style of animation became popular in the 1920s, but at the end of the 1930s became irrelevant in the animation industry. The developers at the studio Fumi Games draw by hand all the assets on the screen, like the characters, weapons, and of course the movement of those elements, frame by frame. Impressive, may I say. It's a complete handcrafted project, and that aspect in this era of AI slop garbage is an amazing concept. For that reason, no matter what, I'm going to support this game. Fumi Games started as an animation studio, working on short films projects. I think that's one of the reasons you see the passion that this team has put in this game. In this title, you control a private investigator named Jack Pepper, a war veteran with no remorse for the scumbags of the world. He has to clean up the city from malevolent mobsters and gang members, using a wide variety of weapons and explosives. In interviews, the developers at Fumi Games stated that this is not a copy-paste boomer shooter. The world of the game is deep, the NPCs are interesting, and the game core was designed in such a special way so that the player has fun every time. The trailers also show the protagonist using a rope to swing, giving the game a platforming feel. Another curious thing I notice is the many animated and humorous details on the screen interface. For example, the health and ammunition indicators have eyes and react to the events that happen to the private detective, like on Doom. Since it's a world where most of the characters are mice, the trailer shows the protagonist having to eat cheese, a very delicious dairy product, to recover health, as well as some potions to boost strength, speed, and many things more. This video game might give the impression of being cute due to its aesthetic, but the reality is far from that, as it shows explicit deaths and images of an adult tone. That I like it because it ironically contrasts with its cartoonish style. The game aesthetic is in black and white, to be more credible of its 1920s animation style and inspiration. But because of this choice, the game designers had a challenge to highlight which objects the players could interact with. Nevertheless, they found a way to stand it out, these elements, with a clever use of shades of black and white colors. Whoa, 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 whoa! The city in which the game takes place is called Mouseburg. Its population mostly consists of mice, but they are not the only ones. In this corrupt and dark city, the player will also find shrews and rats roaming around. Jack, next to the players, will have a main hub with different locations, such as a pub named Little Big, run by Jack's best friend, John Brown. Also, you can find Jack's office with all the information about the cases that the private investigator has to resolve. And the last but not least place is Tammy's workshop, where the player can upgrade the weapons for a more lethal use in combat. The player can also relax and entertain himself with 3 minigames located in the Little Big Pub. One of these 3 is a collectible baseball card game. But not only these minigames are for changing the pace in the adventure, no. If the player wins, the reward could be a clue for a case or an upgrade for a weapon. So the price is worth it. Mouse P.I for Hire will have more than 10 different biomes, from inspired real places to a more wacky and crazy cartoonish levels. So the adventure will never feel repetitive. In the trailers, I saw many different types of weapons. You know, the typical firearm type ones, but also some strange ones. Knowing that the game plays with its cartoonish style, I am curious what type of silly and funny weapons the designers came up with. Also, as the weapons can be upgraded, the variety of the combat in the game will never get monotonous. Adding to my fondness for the theme of that era of private investigators, mobsters roaming the city, oversized suits with giant shoulder pads, and of course, the typical Dick Tracy hat, the same one as the character from a comic strip about a private investigator from 1931, very famous. I couldn't be more excited to have this title in my possession and play it. Ladies and doggies. Mouse P.I for Hire remind me a lot of the 2017 game Cuphead, because of its vintage cartoon art style, although it's a completely different gameplay genre compared to the game developed by Fumi Games. Another game it brought to my mind was the BioShock series, because of the historical period in which it's set. If the music is the same one as in the trailers, we are for an exceptional auditory treat, baby. Swing, blues, and jazz music. It's pure honey to my ears. Mixed with a good game? Amazing. Without a doubt, we'll have to wait and see if the gameplay is polished, if the game loop is interesting, and how long the story mode will be. Of course, maybe will it have multiplayer? It will be fun to play some casual matches and have a laugh shooting around with this aesthetic. That will be cool, but it's not necessary. Mouse P.I for Hire is speculated to be released in 2026 for all current main platforms. This game can be a massive hit, and count me on, baby. Boom boom! Okie dokie! Thank you for your time, and I wish you the best. Till next time, baby. Till next time.